I feel like, and I'll actually look because I'm talking to, I feel like there is a misconstruing of boundaries. Because I feel like boundaries, people think boundaries is how you control other people. Boundaries is how you demonstrate that you care about yourself. And boundaries are things that you put in place for yourself. So if you're in a situation where someone is constantly like pushing or encroaching on your boundaries inform how you respond to them. Your boundaries inform how you respond to your workplace. If they're constantly encroaching on your time, your energy, whatever it is, that's the boundary is, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to protect this bubble that's around me. It's not going to be like, oh, this is how I'm going to shape, this is shaping my relationship to this person or this thing. And it's like, you have to, that's my boundaries is how I've demonstrated to myself that I care about myself.
Yeah.
I care about you, so I'm not going to allow this person to come in your life and speak to you this way and treat you this way. I'm going to remove us from this situation. And that, allows me to stay in the place where I can be creative, where I can feel safe, where I can be rested, where I can be vulnerable. That's how I protect those parts of myself, is by moving within what my boundaries are. And I feel like it took me a long time to understand that, because it's like, I'm laying it out to anyone, like say my family, for example. I'm laying it out to you that I need you to build a relationship with me, not who you think I am. And I'm going to make the space to be vulnerable with you and let you into the vastness of who I am. And I want to do the same for you.
Yeah.
But you don't respect me. You speak to me a certain kind of way. You treat me a certain type of way. So what's the boundary? I have to remove myself. I can't sit here and let you talk about this with me. I'm not about to sit in the room while you do this. Like, I have to do that for me to protect myself. And it took me a long time to understand that my boundaries were for me. And it's like a lot of the things that I actually move within are they're personal things, because I can't control anybody else. I can't control you. I can't control pretty much anything but myself. And that self-control and that self-discipline is then the self rewards me with feeling like I can do things, with being creative, of that's just I can't I'm getting yeah, but because it's really central. It's very central to me, is moving in that way, moving within that framework. And it took me a very, very, very long time to realize it, because I wanted to believe that I could control others or sway them, or that the way that they treat me is I don't even know. I have to think more about that.
If you were to give 3 pieces of advice or 3 steps to creating boundaries, what would those 3 steps be?
I think first is envisioning what makes you feel safe.
Okay.
Where am I when I feel safe? And then that identifies, okay, what happens when I don't feel safe? Is it that people communicate a certain way with me? Is it that, someone doesn't respect me? And I know this at the sight of how they talk about other members of my community, or the media that they consume, because you're obsessed with all things Dave Chappelle, for example. What are those things? And it's okay, so within that, how do I preserve my sense of safety? So for me, it's a lot of times I just need to remove myself. I'm not going to have a certain conversation with you in this way. I'm not going to, yeah. And sometimes too, my boundaries can look like having to separate myself for a long period of time for certain people. There's a lot of things there.
Okay, what would the second step be? So the first step is recognizing what makes you feel safe.
The second thing I think would be, communicating it, figuring out what it is. When I feel unsafe in a space where someone is misgendering folks and not using folks' pronouns, I will bring that to their attention. And when they don't, respond to that or do that, then I will, remove myself from that situation.
Yeah.
So being able to frame what it is and what the action is. And being able to communicate what the act, I don't know, I think the thing that I'm moving between right now is boundaries are, you can communicate them to other people, but honestly, in some regards, you don't even have to. They're for you.
That's correct.
They're for you. Like, I don't need to explain to you why this is going to be a problem for me. So that would make the third thing the action, like practice.
Camera just turned off because it's hot. Nah, you're good. No. We're going to finish off the third one. Let's go move this camera right here. Get you on the main. There we go. Move this down. All right. So what would you say your third piece of advice would be towards creating boundaries for yourself?
Understanding and visualizing the action and doing it. Because it definitely is a muscle that you have to flex.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah, this is a boundary for me, and I honor myself by not pushing myself past it. Even if it's just like simple things about advocating for yourself. Like, I'm thinking about, like, you know, boundaries during COVID. Like, okay, do I feel comfortable in a certain environment if nobody was wearing a mask? And what would be the thing? Like, you could ask people, but also it might just be like, okay, I don't actually want to be here. Let me take a step out because my anxiety cannot handle this at all. Just as an example. Or like, yeah, just like, or like, you know, yeah, like if I'm around someone who's like excessively drinking to the point that they're losing those controls over their faculties, and it's like, okay, you know, what are my limits of being able to support you in that? Or like communicating to you like, yeah, this doesn't make me feel comfortable, so what is my response in this space? And then like two, like, you know, when you get in the practice of that, you recognize, okay, when I go back on my boundaries, how do I feel?